Hey guys, it's Mike, and you're watching That's Cool Vintage Collectibles. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on blues recordings and some of my favorite blues records. And I thought I'd do a volume 2 of that today and just check out some of my favorite blues records in my collection. Stay tuned. So before we get started on our record list today, I just wanted to say, if you're new to the channel, we talk about all kinds of things on this show, including records and rock and roll memorabilia, guitars and other instruments, vintage sports memorabilia, including sports cards, some comics, pop culture, vintage antiques, and more. So just stuff that I like to collect or I find interesting, and sometimes just even historical topics. And if you like that kind of thing, give the channel a like and subscribe and follow us as I kind of walk you through my collection and hopefully connect with other collectors. So if you're into that, give us a like, and hope to see you down the road on the channel. Thanks very much. All right, so this is volume 2 of some of my favorite blues records of all times. And as a collector, I find you can learn a lot from just exploring other people's collections, and you see albums that you didn't know were available or that you've never personally come across when you're crate digging. So sometimes this can be a cool way to, find out about other music that you haven't listened to before. And this is stuff I think you might enjoy that I like. So we'll start with a great Muddy Waters recording. This is Muddy Waters at the Newport Folk Festival in 1960 on Chess Records. And it's a great recording and very much authentic Muddy Waters sounding stuff. So that's one that I really enjoy listening to that I think you might. This is a kind of a bizarre record, Guitar Wizards, and it's of the sort of mid-20s to mid-30s. And it's on this Yazoo label, and we'll kind of talk about it a bit today. That Yazoo label is a good one for finding really authentic early acoustic blues stuff. And if you like that sort of thing, these are great records to find. And this has people like Blind Blake is on here, Tampa Red's on here, Sam Butler is on here, some of the early great fingerstyle blues players and slide players. So some great guitarists on here, and kind of a cool record to check out. I don't know how common they are to find, but they're pretty cool to listen to, that's for sure. Another one kind of from that era on that Yazoo label as well is this other Tampa Red kind of compilation, 1928 to 1937. And Tampa Red, just a fantastic guitar player, and just some good stuff on there that you might enjoy listening to. And he's a cool guy to check out. I just think his stuff's pretty awesome. Next up is another older recording. This one is not a blues record, actually, so it's sort of, I don't know what to put this in. I guess it'd be early folk, but it's from the early 1900s, and it's lumbering songs from the Ontario shanties. So I live in Ontario, Canada, and this is songs from the turn of the century that were recorded in northern logging camps. And this is really authentic stuff. I guess it would be probably around 1920, maybe a little earlier. And it's just stuff that is all a cappella. Yeah, there's no instruments, sometimes a violin or fiddle, I guess they'd call it. But it's pretty early stuff, and it's on the Folkways label, and the Folkways stuff is so interesting. And such a time capsule to listen to. But this is one that's maybe not on everybody's list, but I just think it's a cool record and a really cool example of what things were like at a certain era, and it's really the only way to get that authentic sound. So that is a very cool record. It doesn't really belong in the blues, but it's in my blues stack, so I included it. The next record is Big Mama Thornton, Jail. And Big Mama Thornton was, of course, the woman who first performed Leiber and Stoller's Hound Dog, and Elvis liked her rendition so much that he did that song afterwards. But this is on the Vanguard label, and this came out in '75. This is a live album for the most part, but pretty cool Big Mama Thornton stuff. She was always so good, and not somebody that gets talked about very much when we hear about records to look for and things, but pretty cool. Just the version she does of Little Red Rooster on here is dynamite. So check that one out, Big Mama Thornton, Jail. Next stack here, Sonny Terry and Brownie McGhee, and these guys played a lot of coffee house shows in the 60s, and were definitely on the scene. They were Certainly regulars near where I live, near Toronto. They played a lot in Yorkville at that time, and pretty well-known duo, and even did Carnegie Hall and things like that. So Sonny Terry and Brownie McGhee, cool live recording there. That one is live at the Bunkhouse, that one. Next up, Jimmy Reed at Carnegie Hall, and Jimmy Reed, great stuff here. Bright Lights, Big City, things like that. This is a guy who influenced so many early guitar players, and Ron Wood just did a tribute album to him, which was pretty cool. So definitely somebody to check out. This is just a great double record, live set, phenomenal stuff. So Jimmy Reed at Carnegie Hall, that's that one. Next up, we have Charlie Patton, founder of the Delta Blues, and again, that's on that Yazoo label. And some people might find this a bit early or primitive, but I really think this early stuff is the most authentic blues music that was ever made. It's so honest and original and authentic, and they weren't in it for the money. But certainly a cool, bunch of songs on this. It's a double LP, and really good early Mississippi Delta blues stuff that he was really famous for. So it's interesting, all these years later, there's notes in the liner notes of this album about, from a guitar player's perspective, they're still trying to figure out some of the ways he played and how he got the sounds he did. And there's still some question about how it was played and how it was performed and what tuning the guitar was in and things like that. So all these years later, people still trying to figure out exactly how he did it and how he got those sounds. It's really, pretty amazing when you think about stuff that was recorded 100 years ago that we're still kind of figuring out. So that's good. Charlie Patton, if you see that one. This is a reissue. Magic Sam Blues Band, West Side Soul. This is a Chicago guy. I don't know a lot about this guy, actually, but I knew enough about him to pick it up, and there's some great stuff on here. It's a little bit R&B, a little bit soul, a lot of blues, and he was a South Side Chicago guy that was, just so good, and didn't become a massive success, but certainly on that in the Chicago scene, he was well known and well respected. So Magic Sam, check out that one if you can. That was reissued on the Delmark Roots of Jazz series, so that's what that's issued on. But that's quite a cool record to listen to. Check that one out. Up next, B.B. King, live at the Regal, and this is the record that really documented a live B.B. King show. It's said to be one of the best live blues recordings ever made, and it's a 10-song set list of B.B. just doing what he does. If you've seen B.B. King live, this is exactly what it sounds like, and it's right at his peak. It was great, early B.B. King stuff. So good. That one's a reissue on Geffen. I don't have an original of that one, but it plays really well. Sounds great. Up next, we can't have a blues list without Robert Johnson, and King of the Delta Blues Singers is a great place to start if you're looking to get into Robert Johnson and figure out what he sounds like. And probably the ultimate blues man, and the guy who sold his soul at the crossroads. And we could do a whole series of videos on Robert Johnson, and maybe I will someday, because I'm really fascinated with the life of Robert Johnson, and he's such a cool story. But this is a great bunch of songs that really do document what he sounded like, and it's good. There is a volume 2 of this, which is just as good, but this is the first one. And on the first list I did a Lightning Hopkins record. This is sort of a compilation, 2-record set, Lightning Strikes Again, and this is so good. This is on Trip Records, which I don't know what that is, but Lightning Hopkins is so cool. I think he's one of the most underrated blues performers out there, and anything Lightning Hopkins, I think you would really enjoy. I've never heard anything by him that I didn't like. He's just such a cool, authentic performer, and that's a really good one to check out and get on your list. Here's a more modern record. This is Buddy Guy, and Buddy Guy, man, I don't know how old Buddy Guy is these days, but he's still tearing it up, and live is still phenomenal. And this record's great. And Billy Gibbons guest stars on this one on a great track called "Wear You Out," which was really good. But this is just electric blues cranked up, and Buddy's in fine form. There's a lot of great stuff going on this record. So that's one that is fairly new and you can still probably find pretty easily, but that's one I highly recommend. It's a great record. It's a double album as well, which is kind of cool. So there you go. That's Buddy Guy. I met Buddy Guy one time, and I'll have a video about that. He's hilarious. And the last one in this little stack is this John Lee Hooker compilation, and this is early stuff, but these came out. It's called the Blues Masterworks series, and they did, I don't know, I know they did Muddy Waters, Elmore James, Howlin' Wolf. They did a whole bunch of them, and they're these double albums, and they actually come with a CD companion as well, which is kind of cool, so you can listen to all of it on CD or whatever you want. But great recordings, and I think these were out of the UK, I think. I think they're British, but they're very good compilations of different time periods of these artists. So this one's a little bit of the early stuff of John Lee Hooker. So kind of that early boogie stuff that he was doing. And that came out in 2014. Well, I hope you enjoyed that look into my blues collection. That's part 2. And I'll do part 3 in a few more weeks, but I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're out crate digging somewhere, you're in a record shop, those are ones that I definitely recommend that I think you'd enjoy. And, maybe have them already. I'd love to hear what your favorites are. But it's certainly not the definitive blues list, that's for sure. Just some albums that I like and enjoy listening to, and you might do the same. So thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing and being a part of the channel. And more to come. Keep on collecting.